Most people think of manifestation like it's a cosmic wishing well. They toss a coin into the void, an affirmation, a visualization, a desperate hope, and then stand back, waiting for the universe to deliver like it's some celestial Amazon warehouse. But here's the problem with that approach. It assumes separation. It assumes that there's a you and then there's a universe, and that if you ask nicely enough, this separate thing might grant your wish. But what if that entire framework is flawed? What if you're not separate from the universe? What if you are it? In altered states, I've left this body and watched the veil fall away. And what I discovered was not a place. It wasn't a higher dimension. It wasn't a realm in space I traveled to. It was a different state of consciousness altogether. And in that state, it became obvious that reality responds directly to consciousness. The world you find yourself in is inseparable from the state you're occupying. And that's the key. There is no out there. There is only your state of being. And your state of being is the architect of the world you inhabit. So manifestation isn't about asking, it's about becoming. Here's what most people don't realize. Reality doesn't happen in space. It happens in consciousness. The sense of a solid external world is a byproduct of the frequency you're currently tuned into. When I astral project, I don't walk through space like I'm exploring a new town. I don't fly past planets or enter dimensions like portals. What happens is instantaneous. If I begin to feel fear or anxiety, suddenly the world around me becomes dark, heavy, and distorted. If I enter a state of awe or clarity or love, I find myself surrounded by light, harmony, and intelligence. I've watched the landscape shift in real time in response to a change in my state, as if the dream itself was being rewritten based on a frequency I was emitting. And this isn't just an astral thing. It's not just some quirk of the out-of-body state. It's always happening, even right now. But in the waking state, it's slower, denser, more encoded in time. In this physical dream, the feedback loop is stretched out, so you think that the world is something separate from your internal state. But it isn't. It's just delayed. What you're experiencing right now, your relationships, your bank balance, your body, your sense of meaning, it's not something happening to you, it's happening through you. It's the echo of the version of you that you've been living as, not just in what you say or think, but in what you feel, what you expect, and what you embody. And that's why so many people stay stuck. They're trying to manifest from a place of lack, from the idea that they need to get somewhere, rather than realizing that they're already generating the somewhere they're in. The trap of wanting is this. Wanting something reinforces the frequency of not having it. You say, "I want love," and your field broadcasts loneliness. You say, "I want abundance," and your being shouts, "I'm broke." The universe doesn't listen to your words, it listens to your vibration, and your vibration is shaped by the state you're embodying right now. Not your dreams, not your goals, but your identity in this very moment. You can decorate your mind with affirmations, mantras, and vision boards, but if your being is still rooted in separation, longing, and waiting, then the world you see will continue to reflect that. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror, but instead of showing you your face, it shows you your frequency. Your patterns, your unhealed wounds, your beliefs, your identity. Not the one you perform for the world, but the one you hold in your nervous system, in your silence. This is what life is. It's a biofeedback loop made of light, not a cold mechanical reflection, more like a living fractal, constantly morphing to match your inner state. It doesn't respond to your affirmations, it doesn't obey your words, it responds to who you're really being in totality. That is the secret I glimpsed in the altered states, in the astral, in those moments where the veil thins and you realize, this world isn't solid, I'm not this body, my story isn't fixed. And what hit me hardest wasn't the mystical scenery or floating above my body. It was the responsiveness of it all. The way entire landscapes would rearrange themselves based on what I was feeling. Not what I was thinking, but what I was being. And that's an important distinction. In the astral, if you try to fake your way into love or confidence or clarity, it doesn't work. The dream knows. It bypasses your mask. It reads your state directly and instantly mirrors it back to you. And then it dawns on you. That's what waking reality does too. Only more slowly, more politely, more masked in coincidence and circumstance. But the mechanics are the same. The reality you experience bends around the shape of your consciousness. If you're broadcasting lack, expecting struggle, preparing for rejection, assuming disconnection, you will meet those frequencies in your outer world. Not because you're cursed, not because you're unlucky, but because you're dreaming from that level. And this dream, this dense, convincing physical experience we call life, is just another layer of that fractal, another mirror. You are the dreamer, and the dream only reflects you back to yourself. Now, this doesn't mean you're to blame for your circumstances. This isn't about guilt. Some parts of this dream were already in motion before your birth. Family systems, generational trauma, societal frameworks. But what is in your hands, always, is your state, your frequency, your alignment. And from there, the dream begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because the mirror can't help but reflect you accurately. And if you shift, the whole image begins to change, quietly, gradually, sometimes suddenly, but always in response to the signal you're emitting. So the real work, the only real work, is this: to become the version of yourself who lives in the world you want to see, and not just act like them, but become them. Because the dream doesn't respond to your performance, it responds to your truth. So by now you might be wondering, how do I actually do this? How do I shift my frequency? How do I stop wanting and start being? The truth is, it's not about force. It's not about pretending. And it's definitely not about bypassing your emotions and grinning through your teeth while everything inside you is screaming. Shifting your state isn't a performance, it's a remembering. A reattunement to a deeper version of you that already exists. One that already knows how to walk in alignment with the life you're calling in. So the first step isn't to add anything, it's to strip away. Strip away the noise, the narrative, the identity you inherited from parents, teachers, exes, society. The story that says, I'm not worthy, I always get left behind, I'm just unlucky, I'm not that kind of person. Those aren't truths. They're energetic patterns, echoes of trauma, leftover static. And as long as you identify with them, they anchor you in the same repeating reality. But here's the thing, identity is fluid. You are not a fixed self. You are a dreamer in flux, capable of shifting form. at will. And that brings us to the first practice: rewiring the self-concept. Your self-concept is the foundation of your reality. Not your appearance, not your job, not your circumstances, but who you believe yourself to be. And most of us, without realizing, walk around reinforcing identities that don't serve us. I'm always broke. I'm anxious. I'm not creative. And worst of all, I'm unlovable. And yet, we keep living them out, because every thought, every feeling, every action is a vote for that version of ourselves. So, here's the shift. Don't wait for your reality to give you permission to change. Start living from the new identity now. And I don't mean pretending, I mean choosing. Not I want to be confident, but I am the version of me that is learning to embody deep confidence. Not I hope to one day be free, but freedom is the frequency I now walk in. Even if I stumble, I walk towards it. Even if it feels unfamiliar, especially then, that's the sign you're leaving the old shell behind. And it's not just mindset, you have to move it into the body. Which brings us to embodying the feeling. You can't just think your way into a new frequency, you have to feel it. Your subconscious responds to emotional energy, not just words. If you want to align with abundance, then you need to know how abundance feels, not in theory, but in your nervous system. So ask yourself, what would I feel if I already had it? If I was already that person? If my body, my relationships, my life were already aligned? How would I walk? How would I breathe? What emotional tone would I carry? And then, this is the key, you generate that feeling, not because your external reality justifies it, but because your inner compass is pointing that way. You train your nervous system to make peace with this new state, to get comfortable with joy, to get familiar with being seen, and to stop bracing for abandonment and start anchoring in love. When you do this consistently, your body stops rejecting the new signal, and your external world starts catching up. Because reality is slow, yes, but it does listen. Aligning your actions with your new identity. Now here's the final piece most people miss. Action is the anchor. You can change your thoughts. You can visualize and meditate and affirm until you're blue in the aura. But if your actions don't match, your frequency won't stabilize. If you're claiming abundance but avoid looking at your bank account, your actions are reinforcing fear. If you say you're a creator but never really create, the mirror sees that contradiction and reflects it. You don't need to become perfect, but you do need to become aligned. What would the version of you who has already made it do? What would they stop doing? It could be as simple as speaking more kindly to yourself, saying no to things that drain you, journaling instead of doom scrolling, taking one small action every day that votes for the life you say you want. This isn't about hustle. It's not about proving anything. It's about congruence. You are telling the mirror, this is who I am now, and the mirror always listens. There's a moment that comes once you've really shifted your state, where the outer world starts bending, quietly and subtly at first. But then you'll say something, and the universe will echo it back 5 minutes later. You'll think of someone, and they message you out of the blue. An opportunity shows up, but it's not new, It's something that was always there, you just couldn't see it until now. This is what I mean when I say the dream rearranges itself around you, because reality isn't a script you're acting in. It's a living mirror reflecting the version of you that's currently behind the eyes. When you shift, it shifts, not because you forced it, but because it has no choice. This is when you know the internal change has stuck, because the external feedback loop begins to reflect your new self-concept without you chasing, begging, or pushing. People treat you differently. Conversations feel smoother. You feel like you're in sync with some invisible thread of rightness. And maybe for the first time, it doesn't feel like you're fighting against the current. You're flowing with it. Not everything will be perfect, but even the chaos starts to feel intelligent, like it's clearing space, like it's reordering your dream so it fits your new frequency. And you'll notice something strange. Old habits fall away almost effortlessly. Situations that used to trigger you now feel neutral. People who once drained you start to drift out of your orbit, and the ones who resonate with your new state begin to arrive. Like they were waiting just outside the door. It feels uncanny, unreal, but it's not a glitch, it's alignment. You're watching the dream reconstruct itself to match the new architect at the center, you. This is also when synchronicity begins to flood in. Not just once in a while, but daily, hourly, constantly. Little winks from the universe, signs, numbers, symbols. Not because the universe is suddenly interested in you, but because you've tuned yourself to a level of consciousness where those patterns live. You don't see signs because you're special. You see them because you've entered the dream layer where signs are normal, where reality speaks back, where thought and matter begin to bleed together. And the beautiful part is, you realize you don't need to micromanage anything. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just need to become the version of yourself that it happens to, and then get out of the way. Because that's when the fractal intelligence of life starts doing the heavy lifting. It finds shortcuts you could never have predicted. It orchestrates meetings, ideas, inspirations, and events that fit together with mathematical precision, only after you've let go of needing to control it. This is the great paradox. You align by surrendering. You attract by becoming. You shift your timeline not by effort, but by embodiment. So let's zoom out, far beyond vision boards, beyond mindset shifts, even beyond frequency and identity. Because behind all of it, beneath the process of becoming, of shifting, of manifesting, there's a deeper truth. One that dissolves even the need to manifest at all, and it's this. You're not a separate being inside a universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself through a temporary point of view. You're not just inside a dream, you are the dreamer. You're not a node in a network, you are the field, the witness, the projector, the author. You have mistaken yourself for the character in the story, when all along you were the source of the story unfolding. I didn't understand this at first, not in words. It was revealed to me during astral projection, deep meditation, the death of the ego, the blurring of waking and dreaming. In those moments the boundaries collapse. There is no me in a location moving through time. There is only this, only presence, awareness, only I am. And in that I am, worlds are born, realities flicker into form, laws of physics, bodies, personalities, galaxies, all flowing out of this single infinite field of awareness, which is where you are. There is no separation. This is why manifestation works. Not because the universe is granting you your request, but because the universe is you. The field responds to your inner state because it is your inner state. The mirror reflects you because there is no other side to it. No one is watching you, no one is judging you, it's all you every time. Even the people you meet, every one of them is a version of you, viewed from another angle. Every problem is a lesson you gave yourself, every synchronicity a breadcrumb from your own higher mind. This isn't a philosophy, it's not a belief, it's a remembering, a lifting of the veil. And once you truly see it, once you feel it, you stop begging reality to change, you stop wishing for a better dream, and you simply become the dreamer who dreams differently. Everything you've ever manifested, or failed to, came down to one thing: who you believed yourself to be in that moment. Because that belief was the dream. You don't live in a fixed world. You live inside a feedback field of consciousness that takes shape around your frequency. And that field is not outside of you, it is you. The room you're in right now, the people you interact with, the limits you think are real, they are all projections of the current dream state you're operating within. And at any moment, you can shift, not through effort, but through awareness. If this resonated with you, you probably already know. You've felt it before. In altered states, in deep presence, in those uncanny moments where reality seemed to bend because you bent first. This message isn't new, it's ancient, it's encoded in your bones. All we're doing now is remembering. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are, and you are the dreamer behind it all. So choose your frequency. Embody the version of you that already walks in the life you desire, and watch the world reorganize itself around your remembering. If this speaks to something deep in you, subscribe for more explanations of the veil, the fractal dream, and the power of consciousness. Drop a comment below and tell me, who are you choosing to be today? Not in theory, but in practice, right now. Because the dream is listening, and the dream is you.